Good evening, folks, and welcome back to Biblical Britain. And I've got a video that's going to put the Bible firmly in Britain, or certainly it should do. As you'll see, it is some pretty outstanding code. Obviously, a lot of this so far has been maps with the cross reference to the Old Testament. Scratch the new one; it's complete rubbish. Right, so. First thing we get right, we're about to unscrabble things and prove that this has all been switched. Things have been switched to the Middle East, but I'm about to put a big dent into this. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get on and unravel Biblical Britain. Okay, there is a siege of Jerusalem, and there is something called Ur of the Chaldees. Okay, and these Chaldees come down, basically siege Jerusalem. I think they get scared off by the Pharaoh's men, which would make sense because they're only across the water in Cornwall. But they come back and effectively they burn down Jerusalem. Okay, so we need to tie the Chaldees to Britain, and then obviously the Ur of the Chaldees obviously needs to be Britain as well. So without further ado, the first thing you realise is this H is a key. If you look at my map, and this becomes apparent in the next code a lot as well, H equals key. Okay, G is the lock. So we've got, well, effectively you'll see now, because there's a lock and a key in this built into it. But what we've got, but first thing we've got to do is identify who these Chaldees are. So I've taken the key out. So what I'm going to do is, instead of, well, in fact, let's just jump to it. And who they actually are. Give me a second. Just get a cloth. Right, okay. Well, let me just first show you who the Chaldeans are, and then I'll tell you how we know how to work the code out of who they are. They are, in fact, unbelievably, they are from Caledonia in Scotland. An invasion of the Scots. Right, what is the code in Caledonia, Scotland? It is Chalde cots in a land. Okay, the cots is basically because they've cotted down somewhere near Jerusalem, and basically and then obviously camped there, I assume, and cot down in there whilst they obviously do this siege of Jerusalem. So it has to be somewhere near where the decoded Jerusalem is. And if you've been following these videos, you might have already spotted it, the obvious. But right, there's a second code as well, just to be doubly sure. Because they're referred to as Chaldeans as well. Okay, Caledonian Scotland says, when I say says, it's just all it is. This is all word, it's all anagram word. So Caledonian Scotland says, Chaldean, again the H is missing, it would be Chaldean in the Bible, but the H again is the key. Chaldean cots on land. Okay, so all we have to do is find the land that they cotted on to siege Jerusalem. Okay, so with that in mind, bear with me a second. Right, so right, we know it. So we know it's so now we have to find. Bear with me. Cal, Chaldee, because Ur of the Chaldees. So Spear Chaldee and Scotland is the key. Again, Scotland is we obviously know now that the Scots are the ones that come down and cop the land. Okay, so right, the first thing we've got, let's just do this. We've got your Rus. So there's your Jerusalem. So it's the area, this is the area, it's in the area of Rus effectively. Okay, right, just in the road from Rus, which is the decoded Jerusalem, is Vent, Sinurum as the supposed Romans called it. Never invaded, but that's another story. Right, Rus, just down the road from Caldecott, from Went, you have a place called, that is now called Caldecott. But incredibly, its old name, before it was changed to Caldecott, was originally, there was two places apparently, Chaldee and Coat, so my mum tells me, and they combined them. But if you Google Caldecott ancient name, you will in fact get Chaldecote. So the Ur of the Chaldees is the area of, well, you can pretty much say it's Caldecott, and these three line up perfectly as well on a map. If I draw a line, you've got Melin. This would be Rus, or G Rus, the fort. This would be the H, Melin. So you've got Melin is the H, this is the G, this is the key, this is the lock and key, so we're unlocking it. And what do we unlock? We unlock Caldecott being Ur of the Chaldees. So the Ur of the Chaldees, the area that they've cotted in is this area. Just underneath Caldecott, we've got the River Severn. Okay, and on the River Severn is another clue, because the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, we got the Sabbath River, which I've already decoded. This is at Rus, you took your bath on the Saturday at Rus Day, and so on. But what you've got there is coded there. And what does it say? It says Iran. Funnily enough, where did they run there? Because they run the story to Iran to Iraq, because apparently Ur of the Chaldees is in southern Iraq. And well, it isn't. It is clearly in Caldecott, and this is the code of the Ur of the Chaldee, or the Ur of the Chaldees. That's the first one. Bear with me a second, guys and girls. Okay, everybody. Right. Before I move on to this one, actually, I just want to point out as well that I've got a strong sense that the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry had something to do as well with this Ur of the Chaldees. I think maybe, and I'm not saying this is definite, but they, at the time this happened, they've still obviously gone back. I'm assuming they've gone back home. Some probably have settled into the Cot of Chaldee, or Caldecott. But they've possibly gone back home and and taken treasures from all the treasures were taken out of Jerusalem. So not for the first time. It happens again into Babylon, but we'll come to that. Okay, so right, having bought a copy of my mate Ross's book, bless him, the Cymroglyphics, I started reading it, and I didn't get too far in it, other than I experiment. Well, firstly, the first thing that hit me is the Pictionary. It says basically, he used the Roy Walker saying, "Say what you, is it? Say what you see." Well, this stuck in my head. He said it's like a game of Pictionary, basically. And then, and then, ironically, this place comes into my mind, Tuts Hill. So I thought, I've realised that this is how these things take place, and I'm obviously meant to get that book to realise this. But there is a coded message within the pyramid. Within this pyramid is obviously represents the Giza pyramid, as you've seen it on my map, and it's got got the eye and what have you. And see the last code, and you'll understand. What you've also got in there is the yank, which makes up a bow, which also tells you I am Welsh. I didn't think of this, but it's talking about the pyramid as well. The Welsh built it, basically. That's Lewisham. Obviously, this is a battle bow made up of Egyptian parts, but that's another story anyway. Right, okay, we're not getting too deep into that. But obviously, you've got a pyramid, and in there, you've got the Clan Pharaoh secret is code. Well, there seems to be a lot of code in the Pharaoh clan. These secrets of the Pharaoh's clan. Right. Okay. So not far from where I live, within this, somewhere I'm guessing. Where does this go? So what you've got is Tuts Hill. I don't know, somewhere there. I guess I'm pot shotting. It's near Chepstow, basically. You've got the Temple of Solomon somewhere here. And you've got the Ankh, and you've got this Ankh that I put in there, which is also written in the pyramids, because the 3 pyramids of Giza by their correct naming is Cheops, Khafre and Menkaure. It says Marco keep Ankh, freeze H when you unscrub the letters. Okay, so I did keep the Ankh. There's a lot more to the Ankh. It obviously goes with the tag, says a thank you. There's a lot more to that. Again, go back on the other videos. But what I realised, I realised, well, hang on, there's pictures in, obviously there's all pictures that fit in, and these are the pillars of Solomon that go on the temple in Jerusalem. Okay, so let's do a little bit of I thought, okay, well, I worked it in seconds. Absolutely amazing. Right, in my map, you've got a place called Kincoid, a place called Tuts Hill, an Ankh, and a moon. Because this is son of the moon sign, son of the moon sign, born in Cancer. This is the constellation of Cancer, decoded, gives you a safe zone and everything else. And this is the lock on the temple in Jerusalem. So you've got the temple, and then you've got the key by here, which is the H. But basically, it's PID. But what I've realised, so what we've got is a code within a code, doing the hieroglyphics Pictionary. Not quite the same way as Ross, but this is obviously, I don't know, it just all fell into place in my head in an instant. Once I seen it, I realised what it was. Okay, so what we've got Coid is code. C-O-D-E. Okay, then we've got King. K-I-N-G. Then we've got Tut. Then we've got Ankh. And then we've got Moon. What they've got down is M-U-M. Well, all this tells me is to use you. Well, I'm the son of... Moon. It tells me, well, I'm the son of the moon sign in Cancer. So all it's doing is using Tutankhamun, King Tut, Ankh, and Moon. And basically, all right, well, we'll leave it as Mun, but you obviously see where it's going. But it's telling you that it's King Tutankhamun. But the message, we've used Tut, we've used the Ankh, and we've used the Moon, we've used the King coin, and all we've got left is a shill. Well, a shill is something that's been put there to get you to buy into a story, to get you. Well, that's it, just to get you to buy into it. Really, but basically, it's not true. This is not King Tutankhamun. whoever, it's clearly nothing. It's well, they have to be. I think they must be Welsh pharaohs. Okay, when I checked the hieroglyph, I can't remember what it is, but basically I used the hieroglyphics to break down what these two cartouches that they've got that's supposed to identify Tutankhamun. Now they've got this. They're obviously using this Coptic that doesn't work, but they tried their best to make it fit. But I got a coherent message from by using the hieroglyphics. So I can't remember. I couldn't do the complete message. There was a bit missing, but it was something about the lineage, and do not proclaim something. But the one symbol I couldn't get. But regardless of the cartouche, it certainly did not say Tutankhamun. So obviously they've created a language to try and cover over, literally to make these things fit. But the bottom line was the hieroglyphics made it a coherent sentence, apart from one thing that I don't know what you're not supposed to proclaim, but it was something to do with the lineage and something. I wish I'd kept it, but irrelevant. But I can guarantee you, if you do it yourself and you do it, it's something about the first cartouche, something about proclaiming. The second one, interestingly, had the scarab beetle on it as well. Well, the scarab beetle apparently comes from the crab, so it does make me wonder: is this? And obviously, cancer is the crab. The sign of cancer is the crab. So I'm assuming that something with the scarab, maybe something with the scarab beetle, is to identify or to overlay onto the moon, perhaps, or maybe it is the moon. I need to look at it, but basically, what you've got is the code, or King Tutankhamun shell code. He's a shell. He was put there just to make you believe in Egypt, the big spell of Egypt. Not, the place in Egypt where these pyramids are is not even Egypt. It's later been named Egypt, and tying pyramids into it to make you think the pyramids are Egyptian. The Bible not once mentions a pyramid in the land of Egypt. All it says is worshipping idols of gold, wood and silver and stone. And these are basically, this is all to do with the crossover of Horus and Christianity. And that's what it is, and the worship of Egypt. But there we go, so there's a little bit of Egypt broken up as well, with the code in Monmouthshire, in the Kingdom of Solomon. Okay, folks, we've got these tribes, as you can see, written, bear with me a second, and I've lost it. Bear with me 2 seconds, folks. Okay, sorry, folks, just right. Okay, Deuteronomy 7:1. Just to read the passage just to show you where this comes from. It says, "When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites." Then he makes a point of 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Okay. Now he repeats these tribes in numerous passages, so we know there's some sort of message in there. But I've been led to this one. Now, notice there was no Amalekites. Now the Amalekites appear in separate passages. Bear with me. The Amalekites. Let's go. Israel came out. Show kindness to the children of Israel, and they came up out of Egypt to the Canaanite part among the Amalekites. Right, basically, then there's all these different. The Amalekites are separate, but they're the key, and that's why they're the 8th tribe. So you've got 7 firstly is a G. 7th letter in the alphabet is a G. So you've got your lock. But using the 8th, which is the Amalekites, gives you your key. Okay, for anybody who hasn't seen the key in the lock on the 2 forts, I'll show you after I've sort of completed this, along with a few other things. Right, so we know that the 7 nations, and with the 7 as well, it's the G River, which is also the Severn. Okay. So there's a reason he's put it, this is the reason for the 7-7. The only reason it's got an R in there is because it also ties in with seeing the RV of the tribes and the RV for the end times. However, right, there's a coded message that unless you use the key, the 8th tribe, you can't unlock the message written with 7 nations. Basically, you need both to break the coded message written in it, and it is absolutely remarkable because it ties with the stars. Well, you'll see now. Okay, so bear with me 2 seconds. Like I say, I won't go crossing these off because it would just be boring as anything, but I've already been over and over this just to make sure. It takes some doing to get these right sometimes, but what the message actually says from that is, it says, and it's quite damning, and again, this is preempting something I've already done and something I've already said, which is what makes this whole thing amazing, that I work something out and then I'll get the confirmation from somewhere else in a later message. So not very good so far, is it? Right, who's Rome's Jesuit parasite? Bear in mind, the J is the Jesus. This is the whole thing behind this. These are supposed to be the order of Jesus. So, well, I'll leave that to your own. You can work out yourself what he's saying there, that it's a parasite, basically. The whole of Christianity is a parasite on the Old Testament. Bottom line, and these are heavily involved in it. But where did this all start? The Atrebates tribe, the tribe of Reuben, the naughty tribe really, of the southwest and the M4, effectively the M4 corridor. And I've obviously encoded them as the 10th tribe of the lost tribes of his rule, and they're in the land of Cain, basically, which is Canaan, but I'll elaborate on it a little bit now. Right, okay. This is where it gets really clever. I'll do the full message first, but Vega is a constellation. TT is a code. Okay. Right, what a message. Okay, so the reason these are in the stars and on the earth is because it just takes, just by using both, I mean, to make this message, it would be impossible to be able to tie all this together from a bunch of tribes that obviously, but that come from a previous code, and again, but I'll try and explain now, but bear with me because this is not easy. Right, the first thing, it's Melt H. Well, this is the tribe. This is basically the tribe of the Amalekites. The Amalekites. And it is Melts. Okay, so the Amalekites on their own. This is the H tribe, the extra, the 8th one, which is the key. So the key shaped fort is Lan Melin. So we need to tie it, which is the Mel H, where you get Melchizedek. So tie in Melch. Well, Melchizedek was a priest in Canaan, and the order of Melchizedek is a secret code. It says something about the order of Melchizedek. Well, the order says, see Mel, Seek H-I-D, or seek the ID of the H. Well, down in the West Country, just up the road from where I am, is the place called Melksham. Now, Melksham is Melk's H. Obviously, I'm doing this video from Caution, which, just to make it quite clear, says Marco's H. Okay, it's also Eastleigh's, just in case there's any doubt. The place I'm at is Eastleigh's, is it Eastleigh's? Yeah, Eastleigh's Caution, which says, yes, Atlas. So, yes, Atlas, Marco's H, and Melk's H, Melksham. So I'm tying a Melk's H. See, his sign is a H. So my sign is a H, Marco's H. Okay, so it's the 8th letter that ties it all in together. Pretty miraculous to be able to do that. Okay, we're in the land of Canaan. Well, this would be originally, these are old, the tribes that I showed you are basically real Old Testament tribes. This is going back, well, I'm assuming it must be a time, because these attributes, I did say at one point that I thought this was like, they're like, well, these are like sub-tribes, all these other tribes, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, Canaanites, and Perizzites. These are all sub-tribes, but they're all in this area in the West, effectively in the West Country. The other one that I've got is the Amorites, which is Rome ties. Well, again, it's just bizarre, but I always end up working, or I go, go pretty regular when he's trying to show me something. He'll put me in a place, and the place I've been working is Frome. Or right, well, I say Frome. See, this is what's weird. When they read it, right, that to me says Frome, and I'm sure it does to most people, unless you live there, and then it becomes Froome. Now, just by trying to hide it. And I think this is where, well, no, I don't think. This is where Rome comes from. Because all they've done is stuck an F in front of it, which happens to be a number 6, which is a seal, not a good seal. So seal Rome. Yeah, F is the 6th letter of the alphabet. Seal Rome. So by sealing this, seal Rome is the area. This is where the attribates, who I said are the root of the Roman Empire. The attribates became the Etruscans. There's a message in that. I can't get it all at the minute. I just tried. I've left it at home. But it says you can't trust something. You can't, yeah, but I'll come back to that on another video. But as you can see, so the Amorites, is the ties of Rome, ties of Rome. Well, I'm tying it. I just put the F on, tie the F on it, and you've got well, Frome, which is Froome, because they don't want you to know, or put 2 and 2 together, because this has all been hidden. But Canaan, this confirms that the West Country, and there's a third, and this one here, again, this is to do with the Atlas as well. I'll show you that, because it's a bit more complex, but it's amazing, because it's written in the stars as well, just to tie it all up together. Vega is a star in the constellation of Lyra. Lyra, Ramen, Amen, Rome. But but as you can see, I tied Rome's Jesuit parasite. So the parasite is, I'm afraid, is Jesus, Jerusalem. Rome's parasite is Ra as well. It's Ra. It's Cain's attribates, because these attribates, and this is where the tribes went out, and the root of Rome stems from the the aptly named attribates, or attribates. Again, they use the mispronunciation to try and cover it up. If you look at it, it says attribates, but they don't. They call it the attribates, which is rather weird. That's sort of posh, but obviously Cain is in the land of Canaan. And you've got your Canaanites in there, so there's clues all over the names of the tribes. I haven't worked them all out yet. the Jebusite, the Amorites, the Hivites, you know, but obviously you can just see that these all fit together basically. And the message it gives you, Rome's Jesuit parasite, because they parasited onto the Old Testament tribes. In fact, they chucked it, obviously Rome's parasited onto the Atrapates have become Rome. The Jesuits are obviously parasites, which means, you know, they're parasiting on the old Atrapate, putting the Romans as the Atrapates. What they've done is they've taken all these stories. There's no Roman invasion. The Atrapates are what the Romans are based on. So any battles in Britain with, so say, Romans is actually with the Atrapates. And one thing and another, they've tricked them into going into their sub Bath, because Bath is also in this area. And they've got them doing it on a Sunday, worshipping the sun god Ra. And this is where it's Horus is Jesus, I'm afraid, and Amen Ra is the god they speak about and the god they worship, and why the Americans have all the pyramid code and well, worse than the pyramids, because they're not actually Egyptian, but the obelisks. The obelisks, I think, is, well, I'll come to what I think that is, but even that's written into Cornwall with the old Egypt, but again, that's for another video. Okay, so Rome's Jesuit parasite, it's King's Atrapates, or Atrabates. Vega TT, I'll show you that now. See, his sign is a H, well, my sign is a H, it's a key. The key is on, and it's Melt's H, and so Melt's H is the code in Melchizedek, which says Sig Mel. Well, this is Fort Melin, or Clan Melin, which I've also decoded, and unbelievably, Clan Melin is in the shape of a key. So he's saying that this is how you get the H and the key, and the key and the H man. I am the key to unlock it all, symbolised, you know, well, bizarrely in these places. Okay, Melchizedek, just to show you quickly, if I can spell this right. I think that's how you spell it. But it says C-Mel, which is Melin. Oh yeah, I've got to show you one of the lines. C-Mel, seek. Hidden in the word H, hidden in the word hid is H-I-D. Lan Melin is also next to Dinham. It's inside the American Army base, and there's only Dinham Road left now, but they cleared it out, and that says I-D-H man. So it's not only one code. So when you find the real Melin, right, why is it in Melksham? Why does that say and Melk's H? Well, this is where it gets even crazier. Because when you win the secret H, which is coded in Winchester, that says win, when you unscrabble that, it says win secret H. And then you draw a line straight up to the Fort Lan Melin, which is the key. Lan Melin. So that's your seek Mel. When you draw it, it cuts straight through the centre of Melk's H Melksham. So you win the secret H and Melk's H, and then your Melin is the clue to, well, the sort of thing to find it. As a secondary as well, just while we're on the Bible subject, because this is one of the most unreal codes I ever did. And all my tribes are in that the tent map I showed you. Well, you know, I've done all the coordinates. You've got the pegs there. You've got a peg there. These are guy ropes as well. This whole thing is coded. Not only is it a pyramid with the eye in it and a shark and or a leviathan and everything else, it is also a tent, and it's made up of the Seal of Solomon. So the seal, this flap goes up, this flap goes in, this flap goes in, and what you've got is a tribe tent. Okay, and on that tribe tent as well, you've got like the Dumnonai each tribe is hidden. Bognor Regis is the Regenesis. Oh, I forget which ones, but they're all over the place. The Iceni is over pegged over here. you've got the Desi, all of them basically. What you've got is a tent with all the tribes. You know, basically there's a line that runs, or a peg that goes through every single tribe tent. Well, there's a code in Daniel that says meeny, 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 meeny. Let's write it. Meeny, meeny, tekel, up farsin. I think that's how it's spelled. But either way, I can tell you exactly what it is. Nobody in the world has ever worked out what this means. Is it a foreign language? Is it, what is it exactly? Nobody knows. This right hand comes out the wall. It's the writing on the wall for Babylon, which I'm about to show you something incredible on that as well. But meaning Tekel up Farsin says, unmap 10, seek Melin here. Well, they're in the tribe tent. And he says that your king, to King Nebuchadnezzar, your kingdom has been numbered. Obviously, I put the numbers on there. Well, I got a feeling this is exactly what Daniel was doing or something when he was explaining this vision, was interpreting from a map. I'm pretty, you know, well, I don't know that 100%, but I get that impression. So you've got this map with all these tribes on it, and Melin is, seek Melin here. So unmap 10, which is in the tent, and then you find that Melin is the key in the centre that unlocks everything, along with the lock. So just to show you how that fits biblically as well, the writing on the wall for Babylon. Okay. Right, okay, I type Vega TT. Let's type Vega TT. Right, firstly you go to the, what you do, you go to the constellation of Vega. Sorry, not the constellation, it's actually a star in the constellation, but it's incredible what it says. Now bear in mind, it uses Vega TT. Well, Vega is gave, TT firstly is a timing and a trigger. It's a time trigger. In other words, it's giving me a trigger, a time trigger to unwrap these places for you know, to tie it up with other things. Okay, so gave TT. All right. What is TT? Well, what now? This is where it gets bizarre. The stars in Vega, firstly, there's Vega, and there's the most insane name for a star I've ever come across. And I've come across a few weird, they're all weird, but this one is called Double Double. What a strange name for a star. Double Double. But it's telling you because it's a TT. And what it is it's a double cross. What it is, it's a double cross, basically. And obviously, like I said, these attributes of double cross, yeah, but then obviously this links back down to a place. Right, the other two stars, before I go off this, are called Shelayak and Sulafat. Okay, and what do they say? So when we unscrabble these, where are you? It says, H. So we've got key, seal, a silu, seal a silu, and then it's seal a silu fact. Now the reason it's got a K in it is because we're relating this to the K of Canaan. This is all to do with the land of the K, the Canaan. The mark of Canaan is a K. Okay, this is why you don't get K's in very many K's in Wales. So because obviously, well, without getting into it, but the land of Canaan is basically England, and all these tribes are in the land of Canaan. This is why it's a fact. Seal a silu H is telling you as well. I've already done that because it's in the same message with the melts H. H is the key and everything else. Right, what's the double double? What place does this fit? What this is doing is giving you coordinates in the West Country. I've done this before as well, this code, and it's actually on the TikTok line. Actually, I should have kept it here. So the double double gave TT. So he's given me a timing trigger, but it's a TT because it equals a double cross. So something is double cross, but there's a bit more to it than that. It's also tilt a drop cross is a double X. Right, what does this mean? Right, the place in question is a place called on the M4 corridor in the area of the Chaldees again is Sutton Benja, they pronounce it. I said Benga, but it's not, it's Benja, Sutton Benja. Right, what does this say? This says Reuben, the Chaldees are my decoded tribe of Reuben, TT, sons. Right, what does this mean? Well, this is where it gets bad, because firstly, Reuben is an attribute. Everything is purposed. Sorry, he's an attribute. Is that right? Attribates or whatever it is. He's an attribute. Made a mess of that, haven't I? Right, he's an attribute, and this is where the word attribute, this is where the word attribute comes from. Make the bones about it, but he's an attribute. Okay. He is also he's the root of Rome, and this is where the first X and the double cross comes in. He's the attribute 10. Roman numerals, X is 10. Well, he does happen to be the 10th tribe. So he's the attribute X. Okay? Now here's the bad part, is because going from a line from Tickenham, Bristol to Tockenham, I think it is in Swindon, this sits directly on the line. And what it is showing, and at the bottom of the line, you've got War Exor, Raxor, and Fail. You've got Noah's Ark, and then you've got the CNRV and the 7, and then you've got obviously the safe zone on the other side of the river. Right, this is the bad bit, because the old Babylonian spelling is also an anagram of Reuben, and it is Nibiru. Well, Nibiru is a giant fiery planet, basically, which is Planet X. It's also known as the Rogue Planet. So what it's telling you, at some point, this is what I'm doing it as, there's a place called the Laycock, they call it. Laycock, which is a clock. This is not far from where I am, and it's just not far off this tick-tock line. Okay. Now, it doesn't give you an exact time scale, but it gives you an idea of what's going on here. Well, they're waiting out in the wings, Sutton Benja around here, which is really, this is showing the Nibiru, but not only is it identifying the land of the bad guys and all these naughty tribes, all as one coming under one thing and identifying as being British as well, not across the water in the Middle East again. More proof that the Old Testament relates to back, well, it does, back to Britain. Okay, so we got that. Then you come this end, you get to Tockenham, you got Raxall, War Exall. Unfortunately, we're almost there with that, I think. I hope not in some ways, but War Exall, yes, it's called Raxall. But you unscramble, it says War Raxall. But by here, fortunately, you've got Anfail, or Fail Land, which says Anfail. So they're going to fail to Exall. Now, obviously, there's, well, Fail Land. You can check these on the map, they're all there. You've got Fail Land, and somewhere over here, you've got Noah's Ark Farm Zoo. This ties again with the Argus Navis and the ship, and or the Ark, and everything else. So, but without getting into too much of it. But as you can see, so your Vega is a gave a TT. The TT gave me, or the timing trigger, the timed trigger is when a war, well, it's to do with a War X in all, and then the Nibiru coming in, it cleans up the mess. But basically, you don't want to be behind the opposite side of the wall. So the TT also becomes the X and the X. So it's the 10th tribe, and Planet X is the 10th planet. It's called Planet X. So yeah, so the Nibiru is also planet. It's called Planet X. And I think this is a bit of what I would see. So you've got Reuben, that matches Nibiru. You've got the attribute that matches the Rogue, and then you've got the X that matches the X, or the 10, and it matches the 10, and it matches the 10. Again, not good news, I know, folks, but there is a safe zone and there is a way out of it. I've showed you what to do in the last, especially in the last video. Put your hands up, put your sins on your palms. Don't pray for Jesus, because he ain't coming. There is no man coming from the sky on a horse. Okay, but and I think, well, and I'm hoping that by seeing all this and how this is all coded in, clearly this has been done by the creator. There's no one else who put it there. Marco Guy did not exist when this, well, not in this world. I don't know about another one, but that's another, again, that's another story. But either way, you can clearly see that this has been put there, and this is no accident that all this completely and utterly, well, just lines up, and there's no question. And I'm being shown truth. It's coming through me. It's almost like telepathic. I can't have a conversation with it, but very often if I ask a question, it'll show me something, but not necessarily when I ask. That's the problem sometimes. It's sort of a one-way traffic telepathy almost. But then after all, the tetragrammaton says remote anagram remote anagram TT, and all you use is the phoenix, which is one fix on E when you unscrub the word phoenix. Just use the P and H as an F, and then you drop the E into the word tetragrammaton, and it tells you it's a remote anagram TT. And this is again to do with this. So he gave me the TT. It's a remote it's a downloaded remote anagram that comes into my head at the right time to tie it up with something else. And I've only learned that all this is new. What I've showed you so far, I didn't have any of this 9-10 days ago. So you can clearly see that this is not my work and it's not my doing. I'm just passing on the message, literally. Lucky I am blessed to do it. I don't get why, and well, we won't get into that, but either way, as you can see, it's all there. 2 seconds. Okay, folks, on the subject of Daniel. Right, Daniel's. Oh, this is completely and amazingly coded. This is a mind blow. Well, they're all mind blowing, but they just get crazier and crazier. But we seem to be on to the Bible at the minute. So, okay, the Old Testament. Right, firstly, Nebuchadnezzar. This is the guy that the writing on the wall came out, and as I've just explained, and wrote meeny tekel up farsin. So, right, okay, so, right, Nebuchadnezzar is also a code. It says be a H, can address. Now we know H is the key, so it says be a key, can address. Right, he also had a son, this will make sense now, called Belshazzar, who he lost the kingdom as well. But basically it says seal brass, key, H. Okay, so let's just remember the brass. Right, just to link it firstly, before we go any further, where I work is a place called Copper Shell. So this is key, which is your H, copper cell, or cell copper, or the copper cell. Now bear in mind that copper is the same as brass, and this is all relevant now. This is all to do with the colour. Copper shell is literally 2 minutes from Marco's H. Marco's H. It's also Marco's, well, again, it'd be Marco's key. Okay, I'll show you the fort in a second. Well, when we've done this. Okay. So what is he talking about, can address? Well, there's right, all coded again. This is phenomenal. This really does put biblical Britain right in it. There is the most amazing code in the statue of the idol of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar, right, just so you can see, right, be a key, can address, Belshazzar, seal brass key. Brass key will make sense now, and so will the copper. Okay, but effectively it's all to do with one, and it's to do with the bronze age. So you've got bronze, brass and copper basically. It's all to do with this statue. Right. Mind blowing. Now bear in mind this was written whenever it was written in the old days. Right, Nebuchadnezzar's statue had a head of gold. Okay. I'm going to make this statue now. It says it says words of the effect of it. It's a real strange statue. Well, it really is. Now his chest and arms were of silver. Probably bigger than that, but you get the picture. You can see where this is going, guys and girls. gets a bit more complex. And 5 pence. Okay, so what we're really revealing is Babylon. Where is ancient Babylon? Well, just to prove the point, it's written in Britain. Bear in mind, this is an idol. An idol, mate. This is an idol, and it's made up. And if you see it, it looks all this. It looks like it's from the Middle East type thing, and this old Persian thing, and that's how they've drawn it and perceived it. No, this is what it really is. Okay, it's got a belly and thighs of brass. That's the Belshazzar is seal brass, H seal brass. So H brass is a key. There's 2p. It's copper. This is the copper cell written in copper shell. Sell copper. Sell the copper key. Marco's H key. Okay, so his thighs are made of brass. Right, now this is where it gets complicated. These should be a bit longer, these, but you get the picture. Right, now it says the next part was made of iron. Okay, why is it said to I can undress it? Because the version in there that they've clearly changed tells you, I think, that the top end is Babylon, but obviously they're telling you this is in the Middle East, which it isn't. And then the simple one of this is Babylon. It's in the land of Nod, where Cain was sent. In the land of Nod, reverse Nod, and you've got London. It's easy. It's baby London. That's what it is. It's the original London. Whatever London is built on, or it might not be exactly there, but it's effectively telling you it's baby London. That's what Babylon is, or what the coded Babylon is. It's so obvious once you break the spell and realise that this all is all in this country. Right, now it gets complicated. Right, at this point, right, what the legs of iron. Right, I knew what they were, but I didn't understand the concept behind it, but I do now. Basically, microchips. This is your electronic internet banking, basically. That's where we are pretty much with the Visa cards and everything else. Okay, so your legs of iron, it's got legs of iron, so it's showing modern age. This is going from, effectively, from the Bronze Age, and since then, it's been taken over by well, you know, obviously there's we lost Yah, Sayuri is gone, Babylon has come back to life effectively with you know, and Cain has just come in, and it's become that we're in the land of Canaan, really, in Babylon. And we're also bound, oh, hang on, there's a PB code in Daniel as well. It says a talent of lead. Well, lead in code is PB. And what it is it's not, as well as being promised and be Romites land, it's also and bound. Well, we went into captivity to Babylon because we're the pound, and why is the pound and why is it bound? Well, it's bound to the false idol Ra. Or the false idol, the worship of Egypt and Amen Ra in God we trust. This is the American dollar. So the pound is bound to the American dollar. Okay, which is another, obviously another, the false idol, that's the false idol of Egypt. This is the false idol of Babylon. Obviously an idol because we idolize money and everything else, and the whole system is built on it. Okay, now the last part is made of iron and clay. The feet are made of iron and clay. Well, clay is what man is made of. It's only, obviously we're not made of real clay, but obviously whatever Yah calls clay is what we're made of. So it's made of clay, iron and clay that does not cleave. Well, this is basically the microchip in the hand. And don't worry about the 666 nonsense. I mean, try not to take this. I wouldn't, I don't think, well, and it says that a stone is going to come in and destroy it. Well, this stone is off the Siluri bedrock layer. It's me. And I think this is what it means. Is well, obviously I'm just doing the pre-runner to the real thing, but this stone comes in and destroys the statue. But it also takes the clothes off it. That it tells you this is Babylon. This is it Greek? No, the Medo-Persian Empire. Well, I've just undressed that as well with the year of the Chaldees. And then obviously this is the Bronze Age that they're trying to say is Greek. Well, it's not when you take this off, because they've obviously, I don't know whether it's had these, they were put on there deliberately, because there's a big ruse in this Old Testament. It is, I'll get into that again because I am running short of time. But this stone is basically, this is off the Siluri bedrock layer, which is literally, there's my alarm going, tell me to hurry up. The Siluri bedrock layer is literally the bedrock layer it's under pretty much North Wales, which used the pickaxe to dig up, which is another code, but without getting into that. But effectively, this is the chip that goes in your hand. And this is why the iron and clay, and it says the iron and clay doesn't mix. So this statue as well, not only shows you that this is Great Britain, not the Middle East, but once you undress it and you realise what the statue's made of, you obviously realise that what it's telling you, that this and it's all written in code. What was the other thing on this? Oh right, what are they? Well, this is Babylon, this is baby London. So this is where it all began, going back. Right, the silver is actually it's Cornwall. This relates to Cornwall, but Egypt. Again, it's right. Yeah, it doesn't. He says the idols are gold and silver, gold and whatever, bronze. I don't know, whatever it says. But what it is silver. What is the colour silver is also when there's silver mines in Cornwall. It's still in existence, but it's also tin. So what this really is the tin and the silver mine of the real Egypt, which is with the pyramid at the corner of the pyramid. It's the cornerstone of Egypt is on the Corn Wall. So this represents Babylon, this represents the early part of Egypt, and then this is your copper cell, for one, on my copper cell just down the road. Marcos H, which is the Marcos H this is all to do with obviously with Clanmelin and Melchizedek and the Melchizedek H and the fort with the lock and the key on it. Obviously this is modern day. Rome, somewhere in here, and interesting, it's the knees. Okay, there's no knees. Well, I noticed the knees says Sin K. Well, this is your Canaanites. So you've got your Canaanites. That's why they got a K on it. Your Canaanites, and that says Sin K. Well, K is Canaan. Seen the Canaanites. So this is your Canaanites getting in between. They hand the power over to Rome. Rome, obviously then it scrapes back on. There's no Roman invasion at all in between. This is pretty much the Dark Ages. The elbow, if I draw, well, I should have put it in there, but say this is your 20 pence, and that would be, this would be your 5 pence. I'm assuming, yeah, that'd be your shoulder, your 10. Well, the elbow, because the bow is, again, it's the elbow, the angel bow. I know this sounds nuts, but this is how clever this is. And this is the bow that identifies, you know, Orion and the connection with Orion's bow on my maps and everything. But this is what the statue of Nebuchadnezzar's false idol. Have I got everything on that there with me? Let me just check. Oh, and also this is and the Canaanites is hang on, let's spell this right. Medieval, which says me-ID evil, I think it is. Me-ID evil. Me-ID evil. This is where they cover it all up, basically. This is where Siluria goes missing. This is the kingdom of Siluria, this is the kingdom of Egypt, this is early Babylon. But obviously the Canaanites, the medieval. So you've got the me-ID evil, the Canaanites, basically, and all the lies and the taking of Jerusalem in the Middle East and all this. I don't even know how much of it happened. I can prove the Marco Mani as well. Again, they weren't placed where they place them in history on north of the River Danube. Well, no, they were down south on the Rhine where they passed. That's all coded, and it's the Egyptian pyramids. And I'm pretty sure Marco Mani are the ones that put the hieroglyphs there. And the pyramids were obviously there from pre-flood, as all the big rock stuff is pre-flood. When the Watchers came down on Mount Hermon, which is in Monmouth, I'll get that to come to that again. But it's all basically, this is without any shadow of a doubt Britain, and it's all coded in so cleverly. And like I say, I'm not clever, and I've never done coding in my life, and I'm able to do this in. Well, I had this statue, but I didn't quite have all the bits that went with it, and I couldn't quite work out what these were. But I realise now this is silver and tin. which is your silver, and then you've got and this is the underbelly, and the underbelly is the like the underbelly as well. It's like the hidden underbelly. That's why it's a 2p on the underbelly, or the belly, under the belly. So there we go. Anyway, that's that one, and thank you very much for that. I shall just show you a few pictures before I knock it on the head, because I've got vans coming in shortly. Okay, folks, just to show you quickly, this copper shell, animal rescue, tiny little place. That's the lane I go home on every night, and this is where do I work? And I work. There's your clock. Laycock is a clock. Where are we? There's Caution. That's Marco's H. Copper Cell. This is East Lace Caution. Oh, there's East Lace Caution. It's all coded around here. Sent on Marco's H. Best ID done, that one says. I know that one. Where are we? Oh, Sutton Benger is. Oh, where are you? Bear with me 2 seconds, folks. Hope you can see this. Sorry about this. I don't know how to screen share. I'm useless on this type of thing. Sutton Benger, Chippenham. Right, there's Sutton Benger, and it's right by Chippenham, which says CH, map pin H as well, incidentally. So that's that one. This is on a TikTok line that goes from one side to the other. And there it is. I don't know if you can see that. Sutton Benger in Chippenham. So there, all that says Satan ain't quitting, I think it is, or something along them lines. That's on the line as well. Come this way, you've got down the other end, you've got, well, there's Keys H man there. You've got Wraxall, which is War Exall, and that's Fail Land and Fail. There's Noah's Ark Farm Zoo. There's the Scene RV. And then you've got, obviously, this is where there's G Roos. Melin is here. And just to show you, Land Melin Hillfort. Might have to get a bit. As you can see, that's a great big key on top. There's a hill fort in the shape of a massive key. Then you've got the Kiowa Temple. Let's see if I can put it up bigger. This there in the centre is your padlock. So this is in Jerusalem. This is Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Decoded Jerusalem. Oh, sorry, Jerusalem. This is your padlock. This is where I lived as a baby, which goes with the pillars. Says Joachim Boaz says see him as a boy, and these are the pillars of Solomon temples. These are your Florida keys, without getting into it, but that's on previous videos. But basically, this is the area, the Selus Australis as well. Selus Australis is something about a Silu star. And that's the star that goes on there on the constellation Cancer. And the other one says a bow is real. There's a bow you make. It all literally, nobody could have done this but the Almighty. And that is, believe me, he's very real. Like I say, right, just to show you, there's Chaldees Coat, Castle, Monmouthshire. Obviously, this is an old picture, but it's Chaldees Coat, Monmouthshire, but now it's called Chaldees Cot. It's still Cot the Chaldees, but it's also Sealadoi Cot, because I also lived there, and this all ties up with the Ark as well. Okay, I think that's it, guys and girls. So I'll just do a quick close up. Bear with me. So, guys and girls, that's the end of the video, I think. I'm pretty sure I've covered all of what I need to, but as you can see, this is clearly Britain and the whole of the Bible. There's a character actually called Zerubbabel, and when you unscrabble it actually, and he pins the Holy Mountain. Well, the Holy Mountain is the Recon Beacon. This is Brecon Beacons, basically, Pen of Van, and this is where it all started for me on Mount Sinai. But it says Zerubbabel, and it includes it in a story, and I'm sure that's full of code with all the different. He's the son of so and so, the son of so and so. But obviously, if it comes, I'll get back to, obviously I'll know to do it. But Zerubbabel, when you unscrabble it, actually says Beruz Babel. Now, Babel is the mixing up of languages, okay? So what this effectively saying is that there's a word And obviously it's all done in a matrix with the Vatican missing P is the matrix of the Atlas, a last message. Again, I cannot emphasize enough that you need to get your, you know, stand in the letter Y. Don't think for 1 minute that this is not, you know, there's no way that I worked this, well, I didn't work it out. I spent probably an hour and, well, even doing the videos, probably only an hour, 2.5 hours, I expect at the most. 10 minutes it took me to work out the Ur of the Chaldees. And it took me about probably half an hour, maybe an hour to work out the other one, because I got to get the message in the right order. Obviously then I'm bouncing around star constellations and everything else, but I knew it just all fell into place. Now, to be able to do that is clearly not me doing it. I'm academically unqualified, really. Got a few GCSEs or CSEs. I didn't even do well at that. I've never done code. 2.5 years ago, everything changed in a flash. Obviously I didn't realise what was going on then, and it's been a voyage of discovery, finding all this, but I've decoded everything and anything from the Giza pyramids, and it all keeps coming back to the same place and to me, and for whatever reason. But anyway, all I can say is get your hands up. Please like and share this, guys and girls. This message this is the most important message ever. I'm not asking, you know, the New Testament, all this with Jesus, and they tell you to go out and tell people what you tell somebody to believe a 2,000-year-old story with no evidence as well to back it up, apart from a few that are the dodgy characters that have written history. And you can see how they've rewritten history. It's all rewritten, and this Jesus story has been dropped in and then changed, everything switched over to the Middle East. But obviously there's a ruse, and they've been set up. This is the gin and the snare to Jerusalem, that it's all written in the Babel, or the Babel. You know, the mixing up of languages. All I have to do is unbabble it and find Babylon, along with a million all these pictures and codes and everything else. And it's not, this is not the actions of, you know, this is not my mind. I can't explain it, but I'm clearly, I really truly am connected, as you can tell. Well, it's obvious to be able to work this out. You know, you'd have to be a genius, and I'm not. And how I remember it, I don't know. Somebody asked me, how do you remember it? And that's a good question. I don't even know how I remember it, but my memory's not good normally. But this stuff, it's just like opening up this, I don't know what it is, like a memory thing, whatever this tetragrammaton is. It feeds information down, and then when I open up my mind and look at something, sometimes that's why I stutter a lot with it, because it pours in like a tsunami, and I'm trying to, like, and it's almost like in my head I'm saying, hold on a second, let me just stick with it where I'm going. Otherwise, because you can go off in a million different directions, this puzzle is, or this picture is just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, but it all ties up and adds up. And does anybody else ever put any sense into the Bible, into the Bible, you know, the old, well, the Bible, the Babel, because it's two lots of Babel. The second lot, the New Testament, is absolute Babel that means nothing and is an absolute lie. And the first part is Babel, is code in Babel, but they've lied and changed stuff in there. And this, obviously, the way Yah's done his new works, he's done it so that obviously that I can decode it without, I can just cross-reference the Bible and pull out these amazing things like this and understand what it means. Anyway, folks, I'll have to leave you there, because I'm literally going to need to unlock a gate, a padlock on a gate. That's my main job as well, a 3:30 ironic, and I'm the key holder to the entire place, which is an underground bunker as well, would you believe? All relevant in a place that's coded to my name. So anyway, folks, until next time, get your hands up in the air, stand a letter Y, put your sins on your palms, head down when you're apologising. Do not repent as well. Repent, if you take the word repent and you change it round, it says serpents, because if you're repenting, you're playing with serpents. What you should be doing, and this is what I mean, this Jesus is a false sense of security. You think, okay, it's all forgiven, and I do a couple of confessions, because it's not, you don't even confess it. Just say sorry. That's all you need to do, and be sorry, and you have to mean it though. But do not mention Jesus, because he's absolutely, you know, it's a hijack of something else completely different. The whole thing, it's a Roman lie from start to finish. Anyway, with that, folks, Yah's blessings, and I'll see you on the next video.